AI isn't coming, it's here, and it's changing everything the way we work, think, create, and connect. I'm Jason Kuczek, your guide through the noise of AI hype. Let's go beyond the buzz, digging into how AI is actually being used today, and more importantly, how you can use it too. I believe that AI can help everyone unlock something extraordinary about themselves, and I genuinely want to elevate everyone around me. I help people translate technology into personal and professional growth, and I truly believe in the ability of AI to amplify human creativity and ingenuity. This week on Emergent Thoughts and AI, how to think like an AI master. If you've already experimented with AI, you know that it can be very impressive and it can fail big time. It's easy to try it a few times and dismiss it as unreliable. But the truth is, it's like any other tool. If you know how to use it, it can change how you do just about everything. But that's a pretty big if, and most people have not mastered it yet. My goal is to help you get where you want to be as quickly and easily as possible. You don't need to study machine learning. You don't need to have a computer science degree to get really good at AI. You do need a strong understanding of what it's good at, its limitations, and then some practice. We're going to dig into all three of these in this episode. When we're done, you'll have a new AI enabled approach to creativity and problem solving. Today, in four parts: understanding AI's key strengths. I hope you get a grip on what today's tools can actually do. Then we'll take an honest look at AI's current limitations and where more traditional tools might still be the better choice. Once you have a handle on these boundaries, we'll look at some examples of AI's core strengths so that you can see practical ways you can continue your AI journey today. We'll round things out by breaking down a couple of AI buzzwords. I'm going to spend a little time each week talking terminology. I'm hoping over time you start to feel fluent and comfortable. This week, we'll talk about vibe coding and AI agents. As always, I'll leave you with a little something to ponder and discuss at the end. Part 1: AI's core strengths. If you're struggling to understand what you can trust AI to do reliably, you need to really understand what its core strengths are. I think you could ask 20 people to name the core strengths, and you would probably get 20 different answers. But I do think there are some common threads that I'm calling AI's core strengths. Let's look at each one and how it can help you. The first core strength is enhanced decision making. You can pretty easily add an AI step to all major decisions. This doesn't mean that you should let AI make all of your decisions for you. However, AI is very good at giving you another perspective and filling in the gaps with anything you might have missed. Next is big data. AI is really good at reading and analyzing a lot of information in a very short amount of time. For instance, go read my entire website and tell me what it's missing. Or look at my sales reports from the last 5 years and tell me any trends you see. Read my entire employee handbook so I can ask you questions about it. All right, the third core strength is automating boring tasks. Depending on the task, this core strength may take a little time and effort on the front end, but it can really pay off if you do it correctly. For instance, do you need to read 200 resumes to check basic qualifications? Give AI the job description and upload the files, and it can pretty reliably do the first pass for you, leaving you with a much smaller stack to review personally. This alone could shave hours off of your workday and can allow you to focus on more important tasks. The big takeaway is that any task you do that's boring and repetitive can probably be delegated, at least in part, to an AI agent. All right, next is looking for patterns. For reasons we'll dig into in another episode, seeing patterns in data is the foundation of all AI. When Apple Music or Spotify classifies new songs and then matches them to users they think will like it, they're flexing this AI muscle. In terms of how this is useful to humans, the important thing to understand is that AI can see patterns and information that might be very hard for humans to detect. This can lead to really unique insights and ideas. All right, the next skill is one of my favorites: adaptability and the ability to learn. The ability for AI to adapt and change based on your feedback is a fundamental strength of AI. With practice, you'll learn how to guide AI through an interaction to give you the best results. But it does take practice. This also opens up new possibilities that were much harder even a short time ago. Do you like your meeting summaries to follow a certain format? Teach your AI what you need and watch it adapt future summaries to fit those preferences. Want to have a different version of your website for different audiences? Give AI your current copy and tell it to rewrite for a different audience. You'll be pretty surprised at how well this works and how adaptable it can be. All right, next is AI's ability to augment human creativity. Human augmentation is arguably the most powerful AI core strength. Many people are very worried that AI will make humans irrelevant, but I have a different view. With a relatively small investment of time, I think that AI can unlock your ability to be creative and productive in ways that were just not possible before. You have to learn how to choose the right tools and how to properly guide AI through your project. But if you do these two things correctly, you will be able to accomplish things you probably thought you couldn't do. You have a great idea for a new application, but you don't have money for a developer and you don't know how to code? Try vibe coding. The tools are getting so good that there are very few things you can think of that you can't accomplish if you know how to guide AI correctly. If you want to deep dive into some more advanced tools, look for a future episode I'm working on that looks at deep research and full project vibe coding, from setup to execution. Part 2. Let's talk about limitations. It's important that you have realistic expectations. If you don't, even the best model will probably disappoint you. My biggest concern is privacy. Probably the most common question I get from clients: how do I know that sensitive information is safe to give to an AI chatbot? And the truth is, you really don't. Early models definitely absorb the information given in their prompts, and there were some pretty easy ways for other users to access your information. This is because the prompts provided by users were then used to continue training newer models. Most model providers recognize this as a deal breaker, and they quickly move to subscription models that come with their assurances that they don't train on your data. That said, there's really no easy way to confirm this, and there's some evidence that despite their best efforts, a skilled prompt engineer can still get models to give them private information that it shouldn't. You can solve this problem by running a model locally. There are some benefits to that, there's some drawbacks. The most powerful models are too big to run on most personal computers, but you'd be pretty surprised at the results you can get from newer local models. In a future episode, I'll deep dive into how to get set up and running with a completely private local AI. Another perk of running locally is that because it doesn't rely on the internet, you can use it offline. All right. Next, in terms of limitations, let's talk about hallucination. If you've been experimenting at all with AI, chances are you've encountered AI hallucinations. This is when the AI gives you an answer that's false or really misleading, but it's stated with a lot of confidence. For some uses, this really isn't a problem, like generate an image of a shark riding a bicycle. There's really nothing to fact check there. But if you ask it for historic dates, be cautious. There's some research oriented AI models and tools that are getting a lot better at fact management, like Google's deep research models. The tools that are getting better at this often include multi step workflows that can fact check the answers before they're presented to you. They can also cite sources and provide links so that you can spot check on your own. There are even some multi agent systems that have dedicated AI agents just for this purpose. That said, hallucinations are a risk you should be aware of when using really any AI. All right, another limitation is math. While AI is very good at detecting patterns in numbers, it is just not that great at simple math. It's not always wrong, but it's wrong often enough that it might not make sense to use AI for basic calculations, at least not yet. This actually brings up an important consideration for any use. While I'm a firm believer in AI's power to unlock human potential, not every problem should have an AI solution. Setting aside private local AI apps, which I'll dive into in another episode, the amount of energy and compute power required to ask AI to solve a simple math problem is just much more than if you give that same problem to a calculator or an Excel formula. Sometimes you just need a calculator. All right, next, let's talk about images with text. They're getting better, but there's still a limitation. It's an easy one to test. It's very easy to convert your words into an image. We've already done that. It's also very easy to generate that image in virtually any style you can imagine, which we'll try in a few minutes. But if you have to add more than a letter or two for a logo, AI will probably let you down. Try using ChatGPT to generate an image that has your business motto at the bottom. You might find that it's made spelling errors, left out words, maybe even created a few new letters that don't actually exist. Again, the tools are getting a lot better, but if you need precise control over text in your generated images, I recommend that you just generate the base image and then add your text through an AI enhanced tool like Canva. All right. Now, probably one of the biggest limitations, especially for businesses and enterprises, is cost. So most AI models operate on what are called tokens. You may know this already. These are chunks of data. And without diving into too much detail, the takeaway is that the more information you send to a model and the more information it sends back, the more it costs you. Also, the more powerful the model, the more expensive each token is. So if you aren't careful, it's pretty easy to rack up a big AI bill. Another perk of running your own AI locally is that it doesn't use tokens, so you can have unlimited use for free. And for companies looking to control costs, this can really be a game changer. All right. The last big limitation I want to talk about is the model time horizon. So models are trained on historic information that ends on a certain date, but this means that even very powerful AI models don't have direct access to very current information. There are apps like ChatGPT that give their models access to the internet so they can do some research, but this is different than actually training the model on this information. The takeaway is that if you need to incorporate very current information into a project, don't rely solely on AI to do this. Major model providers like OpenAI, Grok, and Anthropic all have different strategies built in to combat the time horizon, and they're definitely getting a lot better than they used to be. But just remember this limitation when working with any AI. Okay, it's time to get hands on. My goal is to help everyone around me amplify their abilities, and I invite you to get hands on with me as we work through some examples of core strengths that we talked about earlier. You'll definitely get more out of this if you actually try it for yourself. Okay, first, we're going to talk about enhanced decision making. Let's start by using AI to make better decisions. We're going to go through two examples, one for personal use and one for businesses. All right, first, let's plan a trip. Pick a city you've never been to but have always wanted to visit. Traditionally, you might buy a travel book about the destination, and then you might do a bit of Googling. But instead of reading through a bunch of travel blogs, let's do some planning with AI. Open any AI powered chatbot you have access to. It really doesn't matter which one you use. As you start to think about what to ask your AI of choice, remember from my earlier episodes that you can tell your AI what you're looking for, you can give it relevant details, and then you can also tell it what you don't want. That negative at the end is really powerful. Okay, for my example, I'm going to plan a 10-day trip to Greece. I want to tell it the date range of my trip, where I'll be flying in, and what kind of vacation I'm looking for. I'll also tell it that I don't really like museums and that I'm looking for unusual and unique experiences and attractions. All right, so here's my complete prompt. I'm planning a 10-day trip to Greece, flying to Athens on April 10th. I'll have my own car. Help me plan my travel itinerary. I love the ocean, but I don't like museums. Also, I'm most interested in having unique experiences and seeing attractions that are off the beaten path. I also don't like crowds, and I want to be back in Athens one day before departure, so I'm not in a rush to get to the airport. Take a minute now to write your own prompt. Be sure to add where you're going, what kind of trip you want to have, anything you really like, anything you want to avoid. When you're ready, submit it and see what happens. Okay, in my case, I got a good looking itinerary that mostly followed my guidelines. But remember, if you want something different or if you want more details, you can just ask for it. In my case, I want some specific restaurant ideas for day 3 of my trip. So this is the follow up prompt I'm going to use. I want to have seafood dinner on day 3 of my trip. Please suggest 3 to 4 restaurants in the area that are worth looking at. Notice that I didn't have to tell it where I would be on day 3 of my trip. When you're asking follow up questions, in most tools, the AI remains aware of anything you've asked it previously and all of its previous answers. I will say that if your chat gets very long, the results can start to get less reliable. The signal basically gets lost in the noise. Now for a business decision. I'm going to pretend that I have a successful restaurant chain in Colorado and I want to expand into another state. I know a lot about running my restaurant, but I've never expanded into a new territory before. While I've already been thinking this over for a long time, I'm not sure that I've thought of everything I need to consider before making the move. So I'm going to write a prompt that lays out the problem, has a specific ask, and then has some limits set to make sure my results are manageable. Here's my complete prompt. I own a chain of restaurants in Colorado that focuses on fresh, farm-to-table dining. I want to expand into Wyoming. While I know a lot about running my 3 existing restaurants, I don't have a complete plan for expanding into Wyoming. Help me develop an expansion plan. I want a step-by-step guide that leads me through the entire process. I want a complete expansion within 12 months. In addition to the general plan, please provide a list of topics I should be considering. I don't want to leave out anything important. Finally, remember that this is a general plan and is meant to be an overview, so don't make it too long. Notice my focus on using natural language to tell my AI what I want. Pro tip, if you aren't satisfied with your prompt, before you submit it for a complete answer, ask your AI to improve the prompt itself. When you're ready, submit your prompt, and let's look at the results. I got a great overview and a list of key considerations that seem like a really good starting point. Remember, this is about AI enhancing decision making. You are still making the decisions, but you're using a very powerful tool to help you be as informed as possible. This is a great way to identify considerations and perspectives you might have missed on your own. And again, there's a lot to unpack here. This is just the starting point. So pick something in your results that you want to expand on and then simply ask it for more details. In my case, I want to know more about how to register to do business in Wyoming. So my follow up prompt is please tell me more about how to register my Colorado business in Wyoming. I want step by step instructions. I got exactly what I asked for. It's a great starting point that would save me a lot of research time. How did you do? All right, our next hands on experiment centers around unlocking human creativity. We're going to dip our toes into the pool of AI generated imagery, mostly because the tools are pretty good at this, and also because it's an easy way to make the point. AI can help you explore very different creative styles. We're going to generate a series of images using the same base prompt, but in a variety of different styles. To set the stage, start by writing a prompt for any image. Make it as long or as short as you want. It really doesn't matter. I like the ocean, so I'm going to start with generate an image of a sailboat in the open ocean in rough seas. You'll need to make sure you're using an AI that has the ability to generate images. Go ahead and submit your base prompt as is. All right, this is the result that I got. Now submit the exact same prompt, but add this to the end. In the style of painted impressionism. What do you think? All right, now do it again, but instead add this ending. Make it photorealistic. Finally, add as a pencil sketch to the base prompt. As you can see, AI can help you try an idea in vastly different ways. How would you do this manually? How much would it cost you? And how much time would it take? AI can add the same kind of flexibility to other art forms as well. There are tools for music and video. AI can help you brainstorm, develop and organize a novel, and the list really goes on. My point here is that if you can imagine it, and if you know how to find and use the right tools, AI can help you get creative in ways that you may have thought were out of reach. Now let's look at how a business can use AI creatively. There's so many good uses for AI in business that it's hard to narrow it down to just one specific example. For instance, AI could help with very rapid prototyping for product design. For the first time, really, product teams can simply describe their future product in plain language, and AI systems can help them create visualizations and, in some cases, actual working prototypes in near real time. In a very short amount of time, the team can be evaluating multiple versions of their new product so that they can choose the best option and move forward. In this way, AI can vastly accelerate the speed of innovation while really saving a lot of time and money. For our hands-on example, let's look at how a marketing team could benefit from AI. Go to your website, or if you don't have a website, go to any business website you want. We're looking for 1 or 2 paragraphs of text that we can play with. When you find something good, copy it to your clipboard. All right, now paste it into your favorite chatbot window, but don't submit it yet. Now add the following prompt. This is a segment from my website. Please rewrite it to make it more engaging. When you're done, please highlight the specific differences and how each change improves the segment. I gave Gemini part of the About page from my business website. And using the added prompt, I got back 3 different versions that were customized to appeal to different audiences. I also got a breakdown of what specific changes made the piece more engaging, just like I asked for. Don't underestimate how much you can learn from these types of explanation sections. Also remember that these are just AI suggestions. You should still add in your own words and use your own judgment as you develop the final product. Now let's take it a step further. Take one of the results that you liked and copy it. Paste it into the chat window and add the following prompt. Regenerate this paragraph, but make it appeal to a younger audience. Please explain your changes in detail, highlighting how each change appeals to a younger audience. All right, now compare your results. Imagine what this could do for your business. You can easily adapt marketing copy and website content to appeal to the exact audience you're trying to attract. More advanced websites can adapt their content to appeal to the viewer, having multiple versions of each page available and loading the most appropriate one depending on the viewer demographic. You can use this to write more engaging product descriptions and blog posts. Really any application where you're trying to fit your content to a specific audience. Okay, we're almost to the end for today. Let's break down a couple of AI buzzwords. This week's buzzwords are agent and vibe code. So there's a ton of hype right now about AI agents, and there really should be. Agents are queued up to make a huge impact on lives. But what exactly is an AI agent? When does something stop being a chatbot and start being an agent? And the answer honestly really depends on who you ask. There's no precise definition, but I think a good way of thinking about an agent is to think about outcomes. A chatbot can receive a prompt and provide a response, but an agent can receive an objective and provide a result, often taking many steps along the way, making limited decisions, adjusting course, and evaluating its own performance in some cases. Think of agents like an assistant that you can delegate simple tasks to that can work on their own in the background while you do something else. Our second phrase, vibe coding, is actually kind of related to agents, but it's specific to computer programming and app or website development. Essentially, instead of working with a product team and a team of developers when you need a new application or a new website, you use some specialized tools to simply generate what you need. While some familiarity with basic coding principles is really helpful, especially for debugging, for websites and simpler applications, vibe coding allows non technical people who know nothing about coding the ability to create what they want using natural language. I'll be releasing a special episode on vibe coding later this week. If you're interested in testing it out, please tune in. And now for this week's Ponderable. This one may seem a little absurd, but I'm genuinely interested in your perspective. Do you think AI systems, particularly AI agents, might ever have legal standing to sue or be sued? So I don't think this will actually happen, at least not anytime soon. But let me make my best argument here. First, the United States recognizes corporate personhood, essentially creating a legal fiction that allows corporations to enter contracts, own property, sue, be sued, etc. Whether you think this is a good idea or not, the justification behind it is that giving corporations standing encourages economic activity and provides a framework for holding corporations accountable. Now, both AI systems and corporations are created by humans, but are not human. Agentic AI systems and corporations can impact the world around them, and in some cases can create value or harm. Now, if corporations are legally persons, why would AI agents not be? That's the question for this week. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this one. It may sound far-fetched, but it seems worth having the conversation. That's it for this episode. We looked in depth at AI's core strengths. We also talked through its biggest weaknesses and tried some hands-on examples of AI-powered decision-making and using AI to unlock human creativity. If you like this episode and would like to hear more, please subscribe to the show and check out our YouTube channel. Also, please stay tuned for my online course digging into vibe coding. We're going to vibe code an entire project from beginning to end, no coding experience required. If you'd like your voice to be part of the conversation, please leave a comment or join us on our Discord server. And also, please share this episode with anyone you think might love it. It really helps me. The future isn't just happening to us, we're shaping it. Let's explore and understand it together.